Hey guys, thank you for watching the Slat Rock channel. It's a sad fact of wrestling that people are going to get hurt in the ring. This ain't ballet after all. Keeping in mind the challenging schedule of WWE, the amount of times these men and women are constantly being tossed onto the canvas are enough to leave them sore and sorry. Sometimes they're lucky. The injuries are not that significant. Sometimes it could lead to a career-ending injury. It's always advised to get medical attention immediately when you are seriously injured during a match. Well, not many consider going this route. Some performers often take it as a point of pride to be able to finish their matches despite injury. Here are the top 16 badass wrestlers who finished their matches despite being injured. Number 16, Kurt Angle, SummerSlam 2000. Kurt Angle won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck, and he suffered numerous injuries in his career, including during a WWF Championship match against Triple H and the defending champion, The Rock. He was attacked before the match by Triple H and was pedigreed through the announce table. Unfortunately, the table broke too soon and left Angle injured. It's likely no one was to blame here. He was taken backstage to receive medical attention before returning to carry on his fight with Triple H. The Rock would inevitably win the match, with Angle and Hunter continuing the feud as soon as the next night, so the injury couldn't have been that bad. Number 15, Sting, Night of Champions 2015. Sting finally made his WWE debut during Survivor Series in 2014. Unfortunately, he would only get to wrestle a handful of matches in WWE. He suffered from a career-ending injury in a World Heavyweight Championship match against Seth Rollins at Night of Champions in 2015. Sting took a nasty buckle bomb and injured his neck. While some people may blame Seth for the injury, Sting himself says there's no bad blood and that Rollins has a lot of potential. Sting continued the match and lost. He confirmed his retirement during his acceptance speech when he entered the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016. He talked with Ric Flair on his podcast and told Flair that he had to have surgery to repair cervical spinal stenosis and considered himself lucky that the injury wasn't any worse. This was unfortunately Sting's last match in WWE. Number 14, The Miz, WrestleMania 27. When Miz says he headlined WrestleMania, he's talking about his match with John Cena during WrestleMania 27. Miz went into the match as the champion and came out of the match with a concussion. Partway through the match, Cena tackled The Miz through the barricade and he landed badly on the concrete floor. Miz continued to wrestle the match and even won after interference from guest host The Rock. Miz dropped the title in a triple threat steel cage match at Extreme Rules. With the injury caused by a bad landing, it's likely that it was a freak accident. Number 13, The Rock, WrestleMania 29. WrestleMania 29 saw the twice-in-a-lifetime match between John Cena and The Rock, this time with the WWE title on the line. Rocky has a reputation for being a tough guy and he proved it in this match. He suffered from torn muscles and tendons during the match but dealt with it and dropped the belt to Cena in style. To be more specific, midway through the match, his abdominal and adductor tendons tore from his pelvis. Rock underwent surgery a couple of days later to reattach the torn tendons. There's plenty of speculation about how it happened, with some suggesting The Rock wasn't in ring shape. Either way, this injury likely stopped The Rock from wrestling a proper match. With how many movies he films, he can't afford to get injured wrestling, and his insurance just won't cover it. Number 12, John Cena Raw, October 1, 2007. Apart from being labeled as a career killer, John Cena has also earned a reputation as a freak of nature with almost superhuman recuperative powers. Cena hit a hip toss during his match against Mr. Kennedy on the October 1st, 2007 episode of Monday Night Raw that would tear his pectoral muscle. He toughed it out the rest of the match but was in the hospital the very next day. It was discovered that his pectoral muscle had been completely torn off the bone and it would take him between 7 months and a year to recover. He was stripped of the title by Vince McMahon. Cena returned much earlier than planned and he was a surprise entrant in the 2008 Royal Rumble. He won the match and went on to cash in his title match early, but still went to WrestleMania anyway. Number 11, Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 19. It was 2003 and WWE had a brand extension going on. The main match on the SmackDown brand was Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Everyone remembers this match from WrestleMania 19. Lesnar climbed to the top rope and almost broke his neck in a botched shooting star press. Brock was concussed and dazed. Angle guided Lesnar through the match and lost to an F5. This could have been a career-ending injury for Brock, but Brock would continue to wrestle straight away. The blame for this botch has been passed around, with some blaming Lesnar, some blaming who told him to do the move, revealed to be John Laurinaitis, and some putting it down to bad luck and slippery ropes. Lesnar pulled off the move perfectly in developmental. Had he succeeded, it would have definitely been a WrestleMania moment. It still was, but for all the wrong reasons. Number 10, Shawn Michaels, Royal Rumble 1998. The main event was a casket match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker for the WWF Championship, with Shawn being the champion. Shawn Michaels lost 4 years of his career due to a back injury suffered during this casket match against The Undertaker. Michaels was tossed out of the ring via back body drop by The Undertaker. He landed on the casket, which crushed one of the discs in his back and herniated 2 others. HBK toughed out the rest of the match and retained his title, of course with some outside help, defended the title with his back injury against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14, and then didn't wrestle again until he returned in 2002 for the second half of his career. He worked as the commissioner afterwards. While you could argue that The Undertaker should have been more aware of where Michaels would end up, the injury may have also been pure bad luck. Number 9, Vader. All Japan Pro Wrestling vs. New Japan Pro Wrestling Supercard Show, 1990. The match between Vader and Stan Hansen from All Japan Pro Wrestling vs. New Japan Pro Wrestling Supercard Show from 1990 is infamous. Hansen jabbed Vader in the right eye with his thumb, causing his eye to legitimately pop out. Vader pushed his eye back in place to finish the match, which ended in a no contest. Vader had a metal plate surgically placed under his eye after the match. Something good did come out of it. Vader gained the attention of international companies including WCW, who brought him in while still signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling and the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Both men share a little of the blame here. It happened when they were punching each other hard in the face. If they remembered wrestling was a work and they weren't supposed to be punching each other for real, then Hansen's thumb wouldn't have gone near Vader's eye. Number 8, The Undertaker, Elimination Chamber 2010. With the character of an undead zombie wizard, sometimes The Undertaker has to no-sell things, including legitimate burns. During his entrance at Elimination Chamber 2010, his pyro went wrong, and Taker suffered from legitimate first and second degree burns. Undertaker lost the match as a result of interference from Shawn Michaels, who wanted a rematch with Taker at WrestleMania. That WrestleMania match would be Shawn Michaels' last, while the Elimination Chamber match would be the last show for the technician responsible. According to Chris Jericho, Undertaker had the technician removed from the building and fired. An eye for an eye and a firing for a firing. Number 7, Bret Hart, Starrcade 1999. Bret Hart only lasted around 3 years at WCW. At Starrcade 1999, Hart defended his WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg. He suffered from a severe concussion following a hard thrust kick to the head during a match. Bret Hart has gone on to suggest that he may have suffered several concussions before and after the match. Either way, he suffered from bad post-concussion syndrome and announced his retirement from professional wrestling. The injury is almost definitely Goldberg's fault. The match itself ended in a repeat of the Montreal Screwjob, with guest referee Roddy Piper calling for the bell as soon as Hart applied the sharpshooter. Hart later claimed that Goldberg had a tendency to injure everyone he worked with. As part of his DVD documentary, Hart expressed regret that someone as good-hearted as Bill Goldberg was responsible for hurting him. Number 6, Stone Cold Steve Austin, SummerSlam 1997. 1996 may have seen the rise of Austin 316, but 1997 saw it crash to the ground in the form of a botched piledriver from Owen Hart at SummerSlam. The match was for the Intercontinental Championship. Hart dropped Austin straight on his head, leaving Austin with a broken neck and temporary paralysis. Owen led Austin through the rest of the match and put a quick end to it. Owen lost, but Austin would still have to vacate his titles. Owen would use the injury to garner heel heat and supposedly gained real heat backstage for refusing to apologize. Austin still made appearances for the company and would go on to win the Royal Rumble the next year. Number 5, Triple H, Raw, May 21st, 2001. Triple H has a few legendary matches under his belt, including the match from the May 21st, 2001 episode of Raw is War, when in the middle of a tag team championship match between himself and Stone Cold Steve Austin against Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho, Triple H legitimately tore his quad during a run-in. Triple H was unable to put any weight on the leg, but finished the match. He even took the walls of Jericho, a move that would have caused considerable pain given his injury. Triple H and Austin lost the titles as planned. Triple H had surgery after the match, and the injury meant the end of not just his tag team championship reign, but the entire McMahon-Helmsley era, as he was out of the company for over 8 months. It's not the first quad tear in wrestling, and it won't be the last. Number 4, Hardcore Holly, SmackDown and ECW. Hardcore Holly was hardcore by name and hardcore by nature, and we have 3 occasions to prove why he is a badass too. 1. In a match against Kurt Angle on the June 29th, 2000 episode of SmackDown, Holly's arm was broken during the match as a result of a moonsault. The match ended with an Angle slam after 7 minutes and 25 seconds. In 2002, Holly became a villain on SmackDown and began a short feud with Randy Orton. Shortly after, he was put against the upcoming Brock Lesnar. During the match, Holly suffered a broken neck when he was powerbombed neck first on the mat. Despite this, he delivered a perfect standing dropkick to Lesnar and also took an F5 to finish the match. Holly would return after a long 13-month heel period. 3. Hardcore Holly made his ECW television debut on August 22, 2006 by attacking Rob Van Dam in a match. Holly, now as a heel, soon joined with Paul Heyman and his other associates to feud with RVD and others. On September 26, 2006, Hardcore Holly faced off against RVD and almost legitimately lost his arm during the match. The arm injury was so bad because he was cut open when he took a bad table bump. The metal railing of the table cut deep into his arm, and the wound became infected. Holly managed to tough out the rest of the match and received a standing ovation from fans as he was helped to the back by medics. He also received 24 stitches on his back thanks to the massive laceration the table caused on his back. Number 3. Cactus Jack, WCW, Munich, 1994. You can't tell with all the hair, but Cactus Jack is missing an ear. It happened in a match against Big Van Vader in Munich in 1994. Foley took a hangman spot but didn't know that the ring ropes had been tightened to their maximum after a complaint by Too Cold Scorpio. Foley almost legitimately choked to death in the ring, and in the process of freeing himself, lost 2/3 of his ear. Foley would have the cartilage reattached so that his ear could be reattached, but would then change his mind and choose to wrestle again instead of having his ear fixed. On the plus side, he did win his first and only championship in WCW in that match. Number 2. Mankind, King of the Ring, 1998. The Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Mankind is legendary. Mankind went through a lot in this match, including the announce table and the cell. It's so bad that Foley says he barely remembers a thing about the match. The fans definitely remember it though, and they remember a tough SOB who saw it through and put on one hell of a show. Vince McMahon personally thanked Foley for putting himself through so much, but asked that he never do something like that again. Foley came out of the match with a number of injuries, including missing teeth and a concussion. Number 1. Sabu, Born to be Wired, 1997. Sabu took part in a no-rope barbed wire death match against Terry Funk that almost ended in a death. Sabu attempted the Air Sabu corner splash, but Funk moved and Sabu crashed into the barbed wire, tearing his biceps to shreds. Sabu asked his manager Bill Alfonso to get some tape and taped up the 10-inch wound on his arm. Even Terry Funk said he never saw anything like that. The match finished with both men so tied up in barbed wire that they had to be cut out of it. It was so gruesome that Paul Heyman never considered putting another match like that together. Sabu was definitely one badass wrestler who always toughed it out. So guys, what do you think of our list? Is there anybody else that belongs on it? Let us know by dropping a comment below. If you like this video, you can hit that subscribe button and get more videos just like this one. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And as always, thanks for watching.